Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Peace and the blessings of Allah be upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the straight path. We ask Allah's protection from the evils of ourselves and from the evils consequence of our bad deeds. Today's lesson is Al-Fath. This is the first lesson in Nur al-Bayan. Before we start today's lesson, I prefer to explain التشكيل. التشكيل, what is the meaning of التشكيل? التشكيل is the diacritics or diacritical marks. The Arabic language has system of some signs and some marks, which is called تشكيل or diacritics. These تشكيل or these diacritics modify the pronunciation of the letters of the Arabic letters. In the other words, we can pronounce any letter properly without recognizing its own tashkil, its own sign or its own its own sign or its own mark. The first category of tashkil is al-harakat. What is the meaning of al-haraka? Al-haraka is an Arabic word which means movement. Literally or linguistically, haraka means movement. And here in Nur al-Bayan, al-haraka refers to the movement of your mouth while pronouncing the letter. So when you pronounce the letter, you should make a change of the position of your mouth, and this changing produce vowel sound. So I prefer to translate al-haraka in Nur al-Bayan as a vowel movement to combine between the literal meaning of the word and the technical meaning of the word haraka. Okay, in Arabic language we have three harakat. These three harakat, al-fath, al-kasr, and al-dam. Today, inshallah, I explain al-fath or al-fatha. Again, what is the meaning of al-fatha? It's important to know the literal meaning of al-fath. Al-fath literally means opening, generally opening the door, opening the window, opening the book. Anything you open is al-fath. And this haraka or this sign is called al-fatih. It takes its name from its meaning because al-fatih means to open your mouth while pronouncing the letter or immediately after pronouncing the sound of the letter. Then open your mouth and release a sound like a in English. We can practice harakat al-fath here, for example, with this letter ba. This is a letter ba. This is the name of the letter. How can we pronounce this letter? Actually, we can pronounce it without recognizing the haraka on the top. If we didn't know this haraka or this sign, this mark, we can't pronounce this ba. This ba, the stripped ba or the ba free from any marks, no one can pronounce it. But we should know what is the haraka or what is the mark on this letter. Here, this haraka is harakat al-fath. Harakat al-fath is the sign or the mark of harakat al-fath is slide line on the top of the letter. Pay attention. This is slide line or slide dash, and on the top of the letter. So once you come across any letter has this sign, which is slide line on the top, you should apply harakat al-fath. Here, what is the mechanism of harakat al-fath? First, we should pronounce the letter ba. Ba is pronounced from the two lips. We close to two lips together, then pronounce the letter ba. Then I open my mouth and release a sound. Ba, ba, ba. This is harakat al-fath for the letter ba. We can apply this haraka also with another letter, which is letter ta. The same here, this is another letter, and this letter is voweled with fatha, and the sign, the mark of al-fatha is slide line on the top of the letter. How can we pronounce this letter with this sign? First, we pronounce ta sound. Ta is released from the tip of the tongue and the gum behind upper front teeth. Ta with the upper teeth. Ta, ta, ta. I pronounce t. Then I open my mouth and release the a sound. So ta, ta, ta. Here, this is حركة الفتح. And this is the first حركة in the Arabic language. First, al-fath means opening, and it's called al-fath because we open our mouth while pronouncing it. The sign of al-fath is slide line on the top of the letter, and the mechanism of pronouncing or applying it. The mechanism from the name of the حركة itself is opening your mouth and releasing a sound. Here, this is all about this حركة. We can practice some words here. For example, we have this word. This word consists of three letters, and these three letters have three slide lines on the top. So these three letters should be pronounced with fath. Ha, sa, da. حسد. Here, this is all about حركة الفتح and our today's lesson. I wish I covered all the points and you understand all of them. جزاكم الله خيرا. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you great rewards for your listening and for your attention. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.